Hi, about a year ago I finished my dissertation on the topic of, I have to look it up actually because it's a very long title, the perceived impact of leadership practices on employee engagement in small to mid-sized organizations in Switzerland. So here is the presentation or the dissertation. So this was my master thesis, which, as I said, I completed about a year ago. So I spent about 6-7 months focusing exclusively on the topic of what can leaders in small and mid-sized organizations do? What are leadership practices they can develop or they do develop or they have that leads to more employee engagement. So what I will do in this short video is to give you an introduction in the key finding of this master thesis, which is, let me look it up on which page it is. It's on page 36 of the thesis, and it's a framework outlining 5 practices of engaging leaders. So in the small presentation that will follow, I will give a quick overview of those 5 practices. 5 habits of engaging leaders. How did I find these 5 habits? Well, very simple. These 5 habits are the result of my dissertation, which I finished about a year ago. For this dissertation, I read about 150 articles on leadership and engagement and about 7 or 8 books on the topic. And I interviewed 12 people, 12 leaders. And this is probably the most important bit and the most interesting bit, because you'll be hearing things that you will not hear anywhere else. So let's get started. The first is to ensure a safe space for dialogue and interaction. You do this by showing genuine interest, by making sure that it's a two-way dialogue, by being respectful and open, and by encouraging idea sharing. So this is really central, and this is what engaging leaders put a lot of focus in. So when I talk to leaders, they put a lot of emphasis on this bit. So this is really the central bit. If you do not manage to do it, if this is not important to you, you can actually stop watching this presentation, because the rest actually does not matter. If you don't have a mindset as a leader that you want to create a safe space for dialogue and interaction, you should actually stop watching this video. If this is something that you can relate to, let's move on. Next, create and communicate a vision. It's important that the vision is clear, that it's identifiable, and that it's meaningful. Often people underestimate the importance of the vision or think that the vision is clear or it's also known, but actually in many cases it is not so. Create and communicate the vision. Second thing is to facilitate the connection with goals and objectives, which means that you want people to connect with the goals and objectives you give. You don't want to just give them objectives, because there is this idea that giving objectives is good for motivation. That's bullshit. Honestly, that's bullshit. That doesn't work. Goals are only motivating if there's some involvement in the setting of the goals, if there's some involvement in the decisions that affect us. Okay, so goal setting must be mutual, and it should also be aligned with the skills and talents of the person. Okay, so setting goals which are not aligned with that are generally not motivating. Then the next thing is to enable action. So the first thing is to make sure that the roles are clear but not too rigid. So they must be clear yet flexible. Then you should provide some autonomy and space for action. So if you give goals and you're constantly being behind the employee, that just doesn't work. And then you need to provide adequate job resources. And finally, you have to provide, or engaging leaders, they make sure that they provide recognition for contribution. Because what I saw, or what I found in the interviews, is that people actually have a lot of desire to contribute, but if they see that this contribution is not recognized, then they gradually reduce their engagement. So how can you do it? It's its contribution is not only financial, it's also non-financial. And what's also important is that the recognition for the contribution is perceived as clear. So there you have it, 5 habits of engaging leaders. Now, obviously, these habits are interconnected, and what's also is that there is a cycle. So you ensure that you put an emphasis on ensuring this space for dialogue and interaction. So this is a central theme which is permanent. And then you go through this cycle of creating vision, facilitating connection with goals and objectives, enabling action, and providing adequate recognition for contribution. There you have it. That's it. In the following videos, I will be going into each of these areas a bit in more detail. Until then, take care. If you found this video useful, please click like or even consider subscribing to the channel. It would really help the channel. If you want to implement some of these concepts into your organization or into your way of leading, just book a free strategy session with me. I always have a few slots available every week. You can apply for a session by going to my website www.agility3.com, where you just have to click the button and then you can apply for the session. That's it for today. I wish you all the best. Take care, stay safe, and get meaningful stuff done. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.